Is it true that Jin is not in good condition? This question is now echoing among ARMY after a shocking moment was caught on camera in Los Angeles. Jin, who had just arrived after completing a long tour, looked weak and not as energetic as usual. That situation immediately triggered panic, especially when Taehyung himself chose to reveal a shocking fact about Jin's condition. What is even more worrying, Jungkook's reaction was said to be very emotional, making the atmosphere even more tense. The beginning of ARMY's anxiety started with Jin's appearance at Los Angeles airport. Unlike usual, this time Jin was seen walking with slow steps. His face looked pale, and his body seemed drained of energy. A short video uploaded by fans immediately went viral, with thousands of comments questioning Jin's condition. "He looks so weak. This is not the Jin we usually see," wrote one Twitter user. "It did not take long before this news developed into a major issue." Close sources mentioned that Jin underwent a medical check after his arrival. At that moment, Taehyung, who was also in Los Angeles, finally decided to speak. He did not give a long statement, but his short words left a big question mark. "There is something everyone needs to know. Jin really needs serious attention right now," said Taehyung. That statement instantly sparked a wave of concern. ARMY around the world panicked, wondering what was actually happening. Speculation began to emerge. Did Jin suffer from health problems due to an overly tight schedule? Or is there another diagnosis that is more serious? The fact that Taehyung himself said it made the public increasingly convinced that Jin's condition could not be taken lightly. What was more dramatic was Jungkook's reaction. As soon as he heard Taehyung's explanation directly, Jungkook reportedly could not hide his emotions. Several eyewitnesses said that Jungkook looked panicked, his eyes filled with tears, and he almost cried in public. He immediately stopped his activity and was seen running towards where Jin was. "It was a heartbreaking sight," said a witness at the location. Jungkook's panic is what made the rumors grow even more. Many believed that Jin's condition was worse than just fatigue. If not, why would Jungkook be so emotional? In fact, some fans suspected that Jungkook already knew the details of Jin's diagnosis before Taehyung's statement was made public. On the other hand, HYB, as the agency that manages BTS, has not yet given a clear official statement. A short statement from the agency's representative only mentioned that Jin is resting and under medical supervision. That diplomatic sentence only made ARMY more suspicious. If Jin was really just exhausted, why did the agency seem so cautious in releasing information? This lack of clarity has driven many Korean and international media to keep digging into this case. Some reports mention that Jin was suffering from complications due to prolonged physical exhaustion after the tour, while others pointed to the possibility of a more serious disorder. The fact that Taehyung used the phrase "needs serious attention" seemed to confirm that Jin was indeed facing a health challenge that could not be underestimated. The ARMY's reaction was very emotional. On social media, millions of prayers poured in for Jin. Many wrote about their memories of how Jin always smiled even when he was clearly tired. Now, fans feel as if all those smiles were Jin's way of hiding his true condition. "He always protected us with his smile, but now we must protect him," wrote one of BTS's largest fan bases. However, behind all the anxiety, the spotlight also turned to the strong bond among BTS members. Jungkook's immediate panic was considered concrete proof that their emotional connection was much deeper than just colleagues. Jungkook, who usually appeared strong, this time could not hold back his emotions when it came to Jin. Jungkook's tears are a clear message. Jin's condition is truly serious, said one Korean entertainment journalist. Now, the big question still remains unanswered. What is Jin actually going through? Will he recover soon? Will HYB dare to open all the facts to the public? While ARMY waits for an answer, Taehyung's latest words and Jungkook's emotional reaction have been enough to make millions of fans restless and uneasy. One thing is clear: Jin's condition has now become the most talked about issue in the entertainment world. From the glittering concert stage, the spotlight has now shifted to a treatment room full of secrets. All eyes are on Los Angeles, waiting for the next news about Jin, a figure who has always been strong, but now looks so fragile. When the news about Jin being seen weak, Accompanied by Taehyung's shocking statement and Jungkook's panic spread, the public seemed to believe that the news was real. But after a deeper investigation, there are so many inconsistencies that show this narrative is nothing more than wild speculation amplified by social media and certain parties who want to attract attention. First, the report that Jin looked weak at Los Angeles airport cannot be used as a benchmark for overall health. Some photos and videos circulating did show Jin walking slowly, but it must be understood that he had just taken a long flight after an exhausting tour. Physical fatigue from a busy schedule could very likely make his appearance look different than usual. This is normal, not a sign that Jin is suffering from a serious illness. Many health experts say that the human body can look exhausted after long-distance flights due to dehydration, time zone changes, and lack of sleep. Unfortunately, this simple fatigue was then turned into a serious rumor by those who wanted to manipulate public opinion. Second, Taehyung's statement that supposedly said Jin needed serious attention never existed in any official documentation. There is no recording, video, or direct quote from Taehyung that proves he really said it. The source who claimed to have heard those words only came from an anonymous account with no clear credibility. This fact proves that the news about Taehyung, revealing a shocking fact, is better described as a fan interpretation that grew into gossip, not reality. Third, Jungkook's reaction, described as panicked and crying, also has no real evidence. The video circulating only showed Jungkook present at a certain place with a serious expression on his face. From that facial expression, many social media accounts added the narrative that he was holding back tears. In fact, there is no clear proof that Jungkook cried in public. Photos taken from certain angles can often create emotional impressions, when in reality, they are just ordinary moments. In other words, the news that Jungkook cried is more a result of social media framing, not field facts. Fourth, hybe, as BTS's official agency, never released any statement that Jin suffered from a serious illness. Their official statement only said that Jin was resting and under medical supervision. This diplomatic sentence was interpreted excessively by many people. In reality, if Jin's condition were truly critical, hybe would have given a clear clarification, considering BTS's international reputation, which is always under global spotlight. No agency as big as hybe would risk covering up a serious problem without facing major consequences later. Fifth, the pattern of spreading this news is very typical of social media rumors. It starts from a short photo, then combined with anonymous witnesses, strengthened with emotional narratives, then amplified by fan accounts that want to make the story more dramatic. In just hours, the rumor grew and turned into fact in the eyes of the public, even though there was no strong basis supporting it. This phenomenon is often called the echo chamber effect, where a piece of news is repeated by many accounts until it sounds as if it is true. For ARMY who have followed BTS for a long time, such things are not the first time. Previously, rumors about the members' health also often appeared every time they looked tired or different than usual. In fact, every artist with a tight schedule surely experiences fatigue, and that does not automatically mean serious illness. But because BTS is a global group with millions of fans, every small detail can turn into big news. But on the other hand, it is important to see the emotional side of this rumor. Many fans actually spread the news not out of bad intentions, but because of love and concern for Jin. They were worried and wanted to show support, even though the way it was delivered was not right. ARMY's panic after seeing Jin looking tired was then translated into prayers, concerns, even speculation. Unfortunately, when that speculation is widely spread without a clear basis, what happens is the spread of misleading information. The main conclusion from all this is the news that Jin was weak, Taehyung revealed a shocking fact, and Jungkook panicked, has no strong factual basis. What is true is that Jin was indeed exhausted after a long tour and flight. Taehyung never made a public statement about Jin's health, and Jungkook was never seen crying in public because of it. All the details that went viral were merely interpretations and narratives built by social media, not official reports. What needs to be remembered is that such rumors can have a big impact on the mental health of the artists in the spotlight. Imagine if Jin, Taehyung, or Jungkook read this false news. They could feel pressured, worried about their fans, and even misunderstand their own agency. On the other hand, ARMY, who should be a support system, could instead get trapped in unnecessary panic. Therefore, it is important for fans to be more careful in consuming news, verifying information before spreading it, and always prioritizing official sources. Now, after all the facts have been traced, it is clear that the news about Jin being weak and Taehyung's shocking statement is just a social media illusion with no proof. Jin is still in stable condition, Taehyung never made a shocking announcement, and Jungkook continues his activities normally. ARMY only needs to wait for official news from the agency, without being trapped in rumors that exhaust the mind. This simple truth should provide calm. BTS, with all their busy schedules, are still ordinary humans who can get tired. But being tired is not the same as being seriously ill. ARMY needs to trust that the members are receiving the best care from professional teams, not rely on social media speculation that often misleads. Thus, the news that once caused panic can be confirmed as untrue. What remains now is a moral message for all fans. Do not believe too easily, do not panic too quickly, and always prioritize truth before spreading news. Because sometimes, news that sounds dramatic is nothing more than an empty story exaggerated by our own worries.